Today, you're going to learn the exact cold email infrastructure that we use at our agency to book both ourselves and our clients 50 plus calls a month. Beforehand, here's a little bit of proof of what we've been able to do. Here is one of my clients' dashboards. Over the last 30 days, we booked them 61 calls with an 81% show rate. Here is my personal calendar where I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 calls booked in. Now, in this video, I'm going to walk through the exact cold email system that we use to get these results so that you can replicate it and get something similar for yourself. Before I get into it, let's talk about what I like to call the pyramid of cold email. At the very bottom are the most fundamental things. These are the things that you must get right in order to have a successful campaign. As we go up, things become more technical, slightly less important, but at the same time, you need to get them right because it's what differentiates a campaign from being good to great. So let's start with the bottom. The most fundamental thing in cold email is the setup step. If you don't have a proper setup, everything is going to be broken. You won't be able to send enough volume. You won't be able to personalize. You'll constantly be landing in spam. Basically, your life is going to suck. So you need to set everything up right. After the setup step is the deliverability, right? You must have strong deliverability. If you are landing in the spam folder, it doesn't matter how good your offer is. It doesn't matter how good your lead list is. And it doesn't matter how good your copy is because nobody is going to see it. Then the offer. The offer is essentially what you're pushing out to the market. And even if you push a really, really strong offer to a sort of irrelevant segment or an irrelevant person within an organization, usually that person will actually forward it to a more relevant person if the offer is just that good. So the offer is extremely, extremely important. Then the lead list, right? Which organizations are you targeting? Which role within the organization are you targeting? For one of my client campaigns, I literally got 4x the result using the exact same copy by just changing the person within the organization we're targeting. And lastly, the copy. Right? This is essentially how you're saying everything, how you're positioning everything. This is less important, in my opinion, than the offer and the lead list, right? Because if you just have such a good offer that's such a no-brainer, it doesn't really matter how you position it because people are just going to be interested anyways. But in my opinion, winning copy is the difference between a good campaign and a great campaign. So it's also really important to get this nailed down. Now, in this video, we are going to be talking about the bottom two blocks of the pyramid, setup and deliverability. Now, we're mainly going to go into setup, but a good setup stage also takes care of, I'd say, about 80% of the deliverability problems. Now, let's talk about where everybody else in the market goes wrong so that you can avoid these traps and launch successful cold email campaigns. Here are the two main problems. Number one, how they set up emails. And number two, the tools they use, and sometimes more importantly, the tools that they don't use. Let's cover email setup and where everybody goes wrong here. Most people in the market send hundreds of emails from a single email account on their primary domain without any additional setup. Now, this is bad for 3 reasons. Let's break down each reason and tell you how to fix it so you don't fall into these same traps. Mistake number 1. They are sending hundreds of emails from a single account. When you do this, email providers such as Google and Microsoft can tell that you're sending automated emails. No normal human being ever sends 300 emails from a singular account in one day. It's just not normal human behavior. So what do? They just toss you in the spam folder with all of your other competitors and people with shitty offers that nobody ever checks. And in reality, your prospects will just never see it. The solution is to look like an actual human. Think to yourself, how many emails would a human send? What is a normal human being? What's a normal human being sending pattern? So at Robel Digital, what we do is actually buy several different email accounts. And from every email account, we only send 50 emails per day total. And if we want to send more emails, we buy more accounts. And what we actually do to humanize it a little bit more is we actually vary the amount of emails we send on a day-to-day basis. So usually we vary between 45 to 55 emails every day, and it'll change every day so it looks even less robotic. Now think about it. In your head, it would be completely reasonable for a real, normal human being to send 50 emails in a single day. So what happens? Google and Microsoft are much less hesitant to throw you in that spam folder. Mistake number 2, sending emails from your primary domain. What most people do, and where most people go wrong, is they just don't know any better. So they just spin up a bunch of emails on their primary domain and start sending. Now, the main problem arises when one of their emails get restricted. When this happens, the entire domain could actually potentially get blacklisted. And this could ruin the deliverability of all of your work emails and take down the entire domain, which is something you absolutely don't want happening. The solution instead is to actually buy a bunch of secondary domains. What this does is allow you to maintain the health of the primary domain because you're not sending a bunch of emails from the primary domain, but you can still send cold emails and engage with cold traffic. Now, what we suggest doing at Robel Digital and what we do for all of our clients is only put 2 emails on every single domain, and we've seen that this maximizes email deliverability. You can do more, you can do less, but we would not suggest any more than 3. Any more than 3, we've noticed significantly harms deliverability. Now, mistake number 3, and the last mistake that people make in the email setup step is not going through any additional setup, right? Most people in the market don't know any better, so they just buy the domains, they buy the emails, and they just start sending. The problem with that is that there are actually records that you must install onto your DNS, your domain's DNS, that proves to the email providers that you are actually who you say you are, and therefore they will trust you more and increase your deliverability. Additionally, if you are using secondary domains, you need to set up some additional things so that people connect your secondary domain to your primary domain and they don't just think this is some random scammer reaching out to them. Lastly, you cannot send emails directly after you buy them without taking any additional precautions. You need to do a couple of things. Here's the solution. What we suggest on all of your domains and what we do for our clients as well is install 3 records, DMARC, DKIM, and SPF onto each secondary domain you buy. Additionally, on every secondary domain, you set up forwarding from the secondary domain to the primary domain. So if somebody looks it up, forward straight to your primary domain. Set up profile pictures so people trust you more. And then you warm up the emails for 14 days before sending. I'll explain email warm up in another video, but it is one of the most crucial things for good deliverability. Now, we've cleared the email setup step. The second problem that I discussed is the tools that people are using and the tools that they're not. So let's discuss where most people go wrong here. Most people I speak to are using legacy tools such as Apollo sequences, Lemlist, Mailshake, or they just send emails from their email inbox manually. Additionally, they are not using tools such as email warming tools or SMTP verifiers. All of these are huge mistakes. My advice is don't use the tools that I mentioned above. They are not built for the new way of cold emailing, both in the technologies that they have, both in the way that they're not really built for using multiple email accounts and rotating through it, and also that they don't have features that maintain your domains and emails health and deliverability. So I don't suggest using any of those tools. My preferred tool for email sending is called smartly.ai. They have all of the newest technology to maximize cold email deliverability, as well as email warming built in. So if you're not on any tool or you're using something else, I suggest moving to Smartly. Let me recap everything we've discussed now. When setting up your email accounts, you only send maximum 50 emails per email account. Then you're going to set up multiple secondary domains and put maximum 2 emails on each domain. On every domain, you set up DMARC, DKIM, and SPF, set up email forwarding, set up profile pictures, you hook up the email accounts to smartly.ai, and then you warm up all of your emails for 14 days before you start sending. Now, you've now cleared the bottom 2 levels of the pyramid. Now you need to work on your offer, building a good lead list, and writing copy. Now, I'm going to create videos on all of these so that you can nail all 3 of these steps on the pyramid. But if you are a business owner and you're looking for a more done-for-you solution, so you don't have to go through a bunch of trial and error on these things and just see what works the best, because we've sent over 500,000 cold emails, you can just go to robeldigital.com, hire our agency, and we will do this for you on a completely performance basis, meaning that if we don't get results, you don't pay. In the meantime, I appreciate you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.